Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here on this beautiful Sunday, 2/21/21, and looking to just crush this slate. We have a really competitive slate. Hopefully, we don't have any additional cancellations. It looks like the games are good to go. So we have a showdown game that we're going to go over. It's a 3:30 Eastern start. It is Boston and the Pelicans. So we will go through that game. And then tonight is a terrific 7-game slate, main slate, which is a little bit bigger of a Sunday slate than normal, and a lot of interesting games. We have a low total in one of the games of 209, all the way up to a 237. So there's a huge spread of lines in these games and over-unders, and definitely want to dive right into them. Appreciate you all listening. If you can, on the way in here, take a few seconds. If you're on YouTube, click the button that has the thumbs up. That's appreciated. Certainly subscribe to our channel. That also makes a big difference for us. And then hit the little alarm alert button up in the corner there that will let you know when any of our podcasts post. And with multiple sports going, it's better to get that alert than you could listen to it at your convenience. But we are bringing you 7-day-a-week NBA podcasts, bringing them to you around 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday and Sunday. And they post around 1:15, depending on the size of the slate, Monday through Friday. So we try to get them to you plenty of time ahead to give a listen and go from there. So yesterday, interesting day. I was not pleased with my lineup and had some key guys like Levine that I was on from the get-go, and really called him out as the top scorer on the slate. He had a terrific game, 37 real points, I believe. So, we hit some things well, but a couple of our in-between guys didn't get it done. Really, the demise last night was Memphis game blowing out just really bad. It was 30-some points in the beginning of the to mid-third quarter, and guys like Joe Val and Morant did not see the floor at all. So it's hard to overcome that. And but today we feel better about the slate. I like the way that it plays out this evening, and even this showdown slate is going to be fun. So DFSCoachTalk.com is where you can find us. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at DFSCoachTalk. And let's dive into the first game. We have the Boston Celtics -2.5. The over-under is a high 232 for this game. I found that to be very surprising. I'd prefer the under, to be honest with you, if you're doing some prop bets. Defensive efficiency-wise, Boston is 13th, so just a little bit better than middle of the pack. The Pelicans are all the way down at 29th, though. They're not defending at all, and I assume that's what Vegas is looking at here when they set this high line. My concern, though, for this line is the pace. You've got 24th for Boston, 22nd for the Pelicans. So they're not getting up and down the floor in any haste, and therefore less possessions, less possible DFS points. The only injury beyond what we've already known here is Adams, the big fella for the Pelicans, is questionable. And that does, certainly affect their rotation. Specifically, if he's out, Hernan Gomez at the value price has been playing some pretty good ball. You'll get to see Zion a little bit more at center as well. By the way, Boston is 15-14. The Pelicans are 12-17. So two teams definitely scrapping, trying to get in the real playoff picture. Tentative starters for Boston right now are Kemba, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Tice, and Thompson in all the T's there. So that's what they have in there for now. For the Pelicans, it looks like Ball, Bledsoe, Ingram, and Williamson like normal, and then either Adams if he plays or Hernan Gomez if he doesn't. Where I don't want to look in this game is, I think Kemba has proven at his price tag, although it's gone up a little, is more into a scoring type thinking. And he's been getting a little bit more usage than he had before all the injuries and COVID things with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So I think Kemba at that price is playable, as is his adversary, Lonzo Ball. Remember now, this is a showdown slate, so you got to be, right on the money here. And depending on what site, you got to weigh it accordingly to who your captain is, etc. But Walker and Ball are in play for me. I don't want to spend all the way up for Brown because I think Bledsoe's defense is decent. I think with Tatum and Walker getting quite a bit of usage, he has a tendency to miss stretches of time as far as being involved in the offense. So I'm not going to go there. Tice, I don't feel comfortable with either. Tristan Thompson is always tempting because he gets a lot of rebounds, but the problem is he doesn't normally score that much. He does against teams with poor interiors or if they're having to play small ball, but he's a possibility here just because of his value. The rest of the Pelicans, Bledsoe's is cheap, pretty cheap, and has a tendency to have some decent games. He's probably on the outside looking in for me in this one, but I'm looking. I like Ingram and Zion here as the two pay-up guys. I want to have some correlation. Obviously, when you're in a one-game slate, you have to. But I may just play Kemba from the Boston side. Tatum is expensive too, and really a pay-up guy. I think a lot of people will, have probably more Boston than they will the Pelicans. I sort of like the idea of Ingram and Williamson on the Pelican side. They are really dominating the ball. Their usage is getting better and better. Boston has been suspect to some inside play, and Zion certainly has the paint protected in all manners. And then, you go with the value guy of either Thompson or if Hernan Gomez plays, I would be interested in there. Even if Adams plays, I'm not going to real fired up about that because I think he'll be limited minutes wise and, may not have a ceiling game. So could be interesting, a little bit different contrarian take, if I have Ingram, Williamson, Kemba in that order, and then fill in with a few value guys. It's going to be hard to leave both Tatum and Brown out completely. So, that's what I'm going to work on. If I can get one of those guys in there as well, going to be tight though on the salary, would have to pay down even further probably for a secondary guy to make that work. So that's what I've got in game one. That is that shootout or showdown slate. And hopefully we're able to get it done there. All right, let's dive into the meat and potatoes, as they say, the juicy 7-game slate here. You've got the first game, 7 p.m., Oklahoma City Thunder at 11-18 against the Cleveland Cavaliers at 10-20. Is that correct? Yeah, they are on a slide. Oklahoma City's on the first night of a back-to-back island game for Cleveland. This line will scare you a little bit. The Oklahoma City's a road favorite by 2.5, which is impressive, but it's only a 216 total. Certainly a concern there. From a defensive standpoint, Oklahoma City's 14th, middle of the pack. Cleveland 24th. They've been going downward. There was a time Cleveland was in the top 10 of defensive efficient teams. Wasn't that long ago. Sort of a coincidence, since they got their backcourt of Garland and Sexton back, is when they plummeted about 15 spots in the defensive efficiency side. Again, something to keep an eye on, and part of the reasoning I like this game. From a pace standpoint, Oklahoma City 9, Cleveland 25, so it is a pace down game. Cleveland does try to grind it out as much as possible. As far as injuries, Torian Prince is ruled out for Cleveland. And let's take a look at the preliminary lineups. Right now, it's Shea, Maladone, Dort, Baisley, and the big fella Al Horford. And again, my concern here, you got to watch, especially with the veterans like Horford. This is the first night of a back-to-back. Whether they limit his minutes so he can play in both is something we need to keep an eye on throughout the day. If they say, he's going to sit tomorrow, that's what we need to find out as the day goes on. But I will be watching that news for sure. On the Cleveland side, it looks like Garland, Sexton, Okoro, Osman, and Jared Allen right now. So not the best lineup for them, but it is to be expected, and they're in some type of rebuild mode if they can move Drummond and some other pieces. For me, I like Shea here. I know he didn't have a great game the last time. He burned some folks. But against that Cleveland backcourt, he is their best player. I think he steps up. He was out a few games, and he's been back now enough that he should be back into a groove. So I don't mind paying up for his price. It's not quite as bad as it was before. He's my key target in this game for sure. Don't like the rest of the game. I'm not comfortable with anybody on the Cleveland side. I think you'll see Dort, maybe guard Sexton a little bit. He'll play, the best threat from the other team, generally almost positionless other than a huge center. But and I've seen him play them too. But that's really about it. I'd like to take my cherry pick Shea out of this game, get him in the lineup, see if he can put a 45 or 50 burger on the board and move forward. All right, game 2. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New York Knicks. Minnesota is 7-23. Ouch. Knicks 14-16. They have sunk below 500 again, so they're going to need to get it going. There's no additional injuries on the board right now. Looks like both teams are going to be able to go at it. I mean, we know D'Angelo Russell will be out quite a while. But other than that, it should be the main rotation. Knicks are favored by 2.5, and the over-under is only 215. So another low one, another concern there. As far as defense, Minnesota 23rd, Knicks 3rd. Very impressive defense for the Knicks. They have definitely bought into Tibbs' mentality, and guys are playing great. Even Julius Randle, who was an Olay defender early in his career, is getting it done. As far as pace, Minnesota pushes the ball 6th, and the Knicks are dead last, slowest team in the league. They definitely like to get in a half-court set, little ISO ball to get it down to Julius Randle. And, it's certainly a pace down game for Minnesota. What definitely hurts, but a bigger pace up than normal for the Knicks, which puts some of their guys into play. The probable starters for Minnesota are Rubio, Beasley, Edwards, Vanderbilt, and Towns. So, Towns goes against Noel now with Mitch Robb out. Noel's played terrific. He really has. Now, when he rests and Taj Gibson comes in to give him a break, or if Julius Randle moves to center, that's going to be an outstanding matchup for Cat that he should be able to take advantage of. I don't think Cat's quite 100% yet, but he's showing signs. This last game, he did step up some, starting to get his legs underneath him. I'm not exactly going to go right for him here, though, with that big dollar number. I think I'll wait one or two more games for a little bit better matchup. Noel is a rim protector, and I think that he can get enough done with Cat to not let him have one of those ceiling games. Rubio's been decent, but up and down. I mean, sometimes he can hit a few shots. Most of the time, he is not a good shooter, but he does get assists and some rebounds and things. He is an okay value play at point guard. Malik Beasley's a little overpriced, for me. And then Anthony Edwards, that game he had the phenomenal monster dunk, which was one of the best dunks I've seen in a long time. Especially when you look at it from the angle from the side where he's so far over the basket. It's crazy. But he didn't have a good game. I mean, he is a volume shooter. He does get involved. And with D'Angelo Russell out, I keep wanting to roster Edwards. Now, the concern is, though, his price is somewhat mid-level. It's not too bad, but you've got the Knicks defense, and they're the slowest team in the league. So that just concerns me, because I do think Edwards' ceiling is somewhat limited. So as tempted as I am, I probably will not go there. So I'm not strong on the T-Wolves side at all, unless I really need a desperate point guard punt with Rubio. On the Knicks side, however, I feel comfortable paying up for Julius Randle. I really do. I think he's in that I want to make the all-star mode type of thinking. He's always been a great DFS scrapper. We talked about that actually through the last couple of years, how, he pushes his own guy out of the way to go get the ball. He wants every rebound and every scoring opportunity. And as a DFS player watching him, you got to love it. So Randall's price is high. I get it. But I think this matchup is really strong. And if the game stays close like the spread says, I think he could have a really monster game. Cat is not a good defender. And the fact that he's not really 100% in my mind is even another step. And Randall can hit that mid-range jumper and get some stuff done. He'll have some younger guys rotating on him, like Vanderbilt and a few of their guys, McDaniels off the bench. So I really like Randall here. He's my favorite play on the Knicks side. I'm not going to go Noel, although I'm tempted because he's cheaper, but his price has risen now too. When he was cheap, he was a great play because he usually gets some blocks for sure and a nice amount of rebounds. I'm thinking about RJ Barrett, believe it or not. I know he hasn't shot the ball great, but I don't like the Minnesota defensive backcourt here, or even Anthony Edwards at the small forward. I think they are very beatable. Hate to stack two key guys in a total this low, so not sure if I'll pull the trigger on Barrett, but he is on the bubble for me right now, where Randall is in my lineup as it stands right now. That is it for that game for me. Not going to go with any of the reach guys, the Paytons, Bullocks, Roses, Quicklies. They've got all kinds of guys playing, and I don't want any part of that rotation. All right, next 7 o'clock game. It is the Detroit Pistons at 8-21 against the Orlando Magic at 12-18. This is the lowest total of the day. It is only a 2-point spread for Orlando, but a pretty dismal 209.5. So when you start getting down in that 20 whatever numbers, that definitely grabs your interest, considering our last three games on the slate are all over that magic 230 mark. So, if you want to cherry pick somebody from this game, I get it, but I'm going to go a little quicker on this one than normal because one off is really the best or most you could want to do, I believe, with this game. Defensive efficiency 20th and 17th, that makes it a little bit more playable, but the pace is terrible. You've got Detroit 26th, Orlando 18th, and they do like to play half court basketball. Jeremy Grant on a clear out for Detroit, Vuk trying to back down someone on the other side. So, I think that is definitely a concern for possessions in DFS possible points. DeLon Wright for Detroit is doubtful, so it doesn't look like he will suit it up. I don't believe that he will. The probable lineups right now in this game for Detroit are Dennis Smith, who I'm glad he's getting an opportunity, Ellington, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, and Mason Plumlee. From Orlando's side, it is Carter Williams. He's been playing the point since Anthony's been out. Fournier, Ennis, Clark, and Vukovic. So, yeah, definitely not a great game. I mean, it's easy to pay up for Vukovic because he's such a good producer, but Mason Plumlee can be a dog defensively. And, the pace of this game, it doesn't make sense to pay up for anybody. If you need a desperate punt or you're playing a GPP, one or the other, you could look at Sadiq Bey, Michael Carter Williams, but he's stung me a few times. Evan Fournier shooting the ball really well, and he is a volume shooter. His price has gone up, though. So really not thrilled with this game at all. Not going to pay up for Vuk or Grant. Very likely will not have anybody in my cash lineup from that affair. Okay, we're moving to the next game. It is the final 7 p.m. game. So we've got 4 7 p.m. games. We'll have get the thumb going fast on the clicker trying to move around to these games. It is Philadelphia minus 2.5, and it's a 223 total. Philadelphia right now is sitting at 20-10. They're the number one team in the East. Toronto is sitting at 15-15. So they were 2-9 to start the season. And Nick Nurse, waving his magic wand, I did say, I don't know if it was like 3 weeks ago, that they will make it to 500 by the All-Star break, and they've done it with some games to spare. And they've done it with guys missing games. Right now, Lowry has been out. So, he's doubtful in this game as also. So on the Philadelphia side, you only have two people, Simmons and Milton, and they're both probable. Right now, they're ruled in. We'll keep our eye on that. Couple of things here of interest. You've got 6th and 7th defensive teams in the league. And we know both of these teams can lock down when it counts, especially in the fourth quarter. That is a big concern. Maybe the best defensive matchup of two teams on this slate. And that gives me some hesitance for sure. As far as pace, Philadelphia is 5th. So they will get the ball up and down. 26 for Toronto. And that will keep the game somewhat in check. The 223 total is not bad. When either Lowry or Van Vliet sit, it's hard not to play the other one. The question for me is, with Simmons more than likely playing, if he guards Van Vliet, which very well may happen, Simmons is pretty lanky and has a good history of defending. Now, statistically, Simmons as we reviewed yesterday, was in that bottom 10% in DRPM, defensive real plus minus, which was interesting. So that stat alone makes me want to put Van Vliet in there. Now, he is extremely expensive. It was much easier when he was down there in the low sevens to get him in there. I am considering him, though. I think he's a fine option. And on Toronto's side, also Norman Powell. I mean, all the dude does when either Lowry or Van Vliet are out is gets in that starting lineup and just roars up all kinds of DFS points. So at his price, he has to be in consideration as well. Anunoby's playing after sitting out the last game for rest because he was returning from an injury. Not going to go there. I think he may still have a limits restriction of some minutes restriction of some sort. So, your other guy you can pay up for is Siakam or Boucher. I'm not going to go there. Joel Embiid is probably the defensive player of the year right now. I know Gobert's there, Anthony Davis, some other guys are playing great D, but Embiid is just all you got to do is look at the statistics. When he plays, Philadelphia is a top 3 defensive team. These are true numbers. When he sits, they're right around 18 or 19. So I don't have any idea how, you move almost 13 spots just with the presence of one guy, but that's the case. And it's by far the biggest differential when a guy sits or plays for his team. So his inside presence is amazing. And I don't know if you saw the last game where they interviewed him after the game, but his first thing he talked about was that his personal goal, was to be defensive player of the year. And he was going to patrol the paint. He owns the paint. I mean, that dude is locked in defensively. So, I will be fading bigs for the near future for sure against Philly. No question. The same thing today. Now on Philly's side, we know Embiid went for 50 in this last game and just playing fantastic ball. He is playable. It's just the top-notch salary here really straps you in other directions. Now, I had him this last game where he had, the great game. I think he was at 90 fantasy points, somewhere in there. It was a really big number, 93, I think. And, I thought the spot was perfect, and he did a tremendous job. Now, of course, there's going to be regression from 93, but, the thing with Embiid at that price, if he doesn't get you 60 plus, then he's not really carrying his weight for taking that much salary. So, with Toronto slowing it down a little bit, pace-wise and everything, I can't pull the trigger on paying up for him. I mean, I'm a big Embiid fan because he gets stats all over the place as well, with obviously some stocks and assists. He does it all. But I'm not going to go there price-wise. I think it's just too high. You can look for some value. A lot of guys got absolutely smoked with the Seth Curry play last time. I don't quite trust him. He's not 100% healthy either. Tobias Harris is having that quiet 90, 50, 40 year. Nobody ever talks about him, but he is tough. He would be the guy at his price that I sort of like in this game. He's been on that bubble, and, I'm starting to get more and more convinced that he can have a really solid game in this matchup. But, even though it's a decent total, not going to quite go there. Really want to save up for these last games, because these last 3 are big, fat, juicy numbers here, all over 230, and are screaming for stacking guys in certain games. So, all right, we have the 3 final big games. A couple things I want to mention really quickly. Number 1, we have a great offer right now where you can sign up for a 3-day pass for only $10. Come try us out. We also will be announcing either later today or tomorrow an incredible new offer from BetUS.com.pa, our partners. It's going to be a $149 for a big free membership with DFS Coach Talk. We'll release all those details on all our social media and website, but it'll again be the same scenario that we were able to offer at prior to the NBA season starting. And it's, if you're a new member to BetUS, you sign up with the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space, and deposit $149. You get to play that $149 in Coach Talk, or I'm sorry, in BetUS, any wagers you want, and then you get the free membership with Coach Talk. So keep an eye out the next 2 days for that news. It's going to be great for the time frame that it's going to cover for you. And if you want to try us out, like I say, that 3-day pass for $10 is terrific. Also, we launched this morning, our man Joe Stanton put together our first ever DFS Coach Talk Facebook page. So please like and jump on Facebook there. Join us on Facebook, man. We're going to have all kinds of information there, stats, preliminary lineups, our predictions, some plays that Andrew Hansen's putting up that he's been on fire on with prop plays and game bets. Also we'll have some projected lineups and ownership, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely check us out on Facebook, DFS Coach Talk. We'd love to see you there. Also, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you're at DFS Coach Talk for our whole group. I'm at JOESARVADI. Our other pros are Andrew Hansen at Language Olympic and Shane Caldwell at DET Sports Shane. So check us out there. And then, the last thing is, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please take 1 second to smash that thumbs up, smash the subscribe, so you're part of knowing what we're doing, posting all the information. We'd love to have you in there, and then hit the alert button so you know when we're posting our podcast. We really, really appreciate that. And if you're listening to the audio version, everywhere podcasts are heard, whether it be Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, take a second, please, on those outlets to hit, go 5 stars, a thumbs up, a quick comment. All of those things are extremely important for us here at DFS Coach Talk. We bring in-depth information 7 days a week in front of the paywall for our DFS listeners. And we really appreciate when you give us those thumbs up, shout outs, and 5 stars on our podcasting areas. So really appreciate that. Okay, the 3 games we were waiting for. The first one is Denver at Atlanta. Denver is a 3-point favorite. Here's the 231.5, third highest total on the board. And we have 3 guys out for Denver. Jermichael Green, Paul Millsap, and Gary Harris. So you can scratch them off. And what that does is it does give us a little bit more depth or less depth for Denver. So you're going to have a smaller rotation and gives you a couple opportunities to get a few value guys, or you certainly can pay up as well. Nobody's on the injury report right now for Atlanta. We know DeAndre Hunter has been out for quite some time with a bad ankle. All right. As far as defensive team efficiency for the 16-13 Denver Nuggets, they are 18th. And for the 12-17 Atlanta Hawks, which is disappointing to be 5 games below 500 with that roster, they are 22nd. So part of the reason why the number's high. The only thing that doesn't correlate perfectly is the pace. Denver's 27th, Atlanta 15th, dead in the middle. Certainly guys you can look at in this game and are all playable. Jamal Murray had one of his bubble games where he dropped 50 real points and was just unconscious. Hard not to like him again here. It's not points chasing, but he gets to go against Trae Young, who doesn't defend well. So, and we've seen Murray, he's a streaky kind of shooter guy. He always was when at Kentucky and when he first came into the league. He's a guy that will string a bunch of misses together at times, but he also strings a ton of tough makes with defense up in his face. He's certainly on my radar just because he's hot, because it's going to be high scoring, and I don't respect Trae Young's defense. So I think Murray's a big plus. The other probable starters for Denver are with Murray are Morris, Porter, Ninjai, that Zeke, the new dude, and Joker. They're going to bring a bunch of guys, 3 or 4 guys off the bench. But again, I think you're going to see some extra minutes with several people out. They also have PJ Dozier, who remains out with the other 3 guys that I mentioned, and Winnington, one of their deep backups, is also out. So, there are some possibilities here of going with the young guy, Zeke, at power forward. Just because he's so cheap, he's going to get minutes. He's active. It also elevates, I believe, Porter Jr. I'm not going to pay up for Jokic because I'm trying to build. If you notice, what I'm doing today is a little bit more of a mid-level build, and I'm trying to steer more from the stars and scrubs, because I think with this particular set of games, the way they line up together, number one, I don't think the stars' ceilings are going to be as high. We don't have Luka. We don't have LeBron, some of those big name guys. Plus the other guys, ceiling wise, I think is going to be a little thwarted with some of these matchups. So rather than do that and gamble with some of the cheaper guys, which we all do, you try to get some value in there. But man, that just kills you when, they have 7 DFS points or 9. I mean, hard to overcome in this competitive DFS world. So I'm going to go for a little bit safer on the floor side, and sacrifice maybe the real blow up games that could be had by like Embiid or somebody like that. So that's the strategy there, and why I'm not going to roster the Joker. Plus, I do like Capella's interior defense. He is certainly a shot blocker without question. The Atlanta probable lineup is Young, Herter, Reddish, Collins, and Capella. I don't know what happened to Collins the last game. I don't like Collins, but he's been great. I played him, and he played poorly. And I only watched a little bit of that game because I was not happy about it. But I'm not going to go back there. Trey certainly can be a target as well, but his price is just a little much to stomach. According to the line, it's going to be close. Denver's, in my opinion, certainly a better team than Atlanta at this stage of the game, but it's a tough call. I don't think that Capella is going to be played off the floor like he has been in 3 of the last 4 games. Atlanta's gone against teams that have gone small and used a real small ball center like a Pascal or Draymond Green. But when the Joker's on the floor, or his backup Hartenstein, who's a giant guy too, they're going to need, Capella's body out there. I think Collins will get swallowed up a little bit, or Bruno Fernando. So, Capella's in play for me here. I've been able to find the right spots for him. And I think this game he gets additional minutes because of the matchup. And let's face it, he's a rebounding machine. I mean, this is the type of game I think he gets 15 rebounds. And if he can just put some offense together there, maybe get a couple blocks, I think he pays off at what I think will be a fairly low ownership. So I'm definitely looking there. So, out of this game, probably Murray, Capella, again, somewhat that mid-level build theme. Porter's certainly very in play for me, as well as Zeke at the power forward. So, all right, 2 games left. 8 p.m. game now. So we've got a stagger at the end. That Denver Atlanta was 7:30, Brooklyn Clippers are 8, and then the last game is at 9. So good stuff down the stretch here. 8 o'clock, Brooklyn Nets 19-12 against the Los Angeles Clippers at an impressive 22-9, even though they've been missing so many guys for so many games. Unfortunately for Brooklyn, the Clippers guys all came back the last game. And Brooklyn has 2 of their 3 big dogs. Excuse me, we know Durant is still sitting out, so he's the only big fella missing in this game. But it will be, the George Leonard versus Kyrie Harden matchup, 2v2 here, that's pretty phenomenal. The Clippers are favored by 5.5. It's a 237 total, biggest on the board. 26th defense for Brooklyn, which they were 30th and 29th, so they're up to 26. So they must be getting some stops. The Clippers, and a lot of that is because they've been missing some key guys on their defense throughout the last several weeks. From a pace standpoint, it is a nice pace-up game for the Clippers. Brooklyn is 8th and 28th for the Clippers, so not quite as many possessions as the Beard and Irving are used to. So where do we go in this game? This is the head scratcher game. Very interesting because you've got the Clippers, who George and Kawhi just came back this last game. So are they going to be able to absorb, in a close game, 38, 40 minutes? That's really within question, and definitely concerns their ceiling if they're going to be kept to like 32 to 34. Not that certainly makes them playable still, but it's going to keep things interesting. You can go several ways here. Again, you got to balance out your salary and see where you're at. Are the secondary guys in play here? Possibly. Harris, Jeff Green have been targets I've used throughout different times. DeAndre Jordan, coming off the bench now, is still getting mid-20s minutes. Interesting there also. Irving's going to probably get Pat Bev defense. Harden's probably going to get Paul George defense. And I really respect both of them. You also have Kawhi out there that could match up with Harden for sure. And then Ibaka protecting the rim. So, I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think I'm going to focus on Brooklyn. I have been rostering their guys left, right, and backwards. But I just think that, for the price that Harden and Irving are and what they have to do to get to that level, again, if they don't throw 65, 68 on the board, you're almost disappointed. You pretty much are, So in this matchup against the Clippers with their full roster intact of key players, I'm going to be more passing on Brooklyn. I may go for one of those value guys that I mentioned, Harris, Green. I think they could get some periphery numbers in a game that will be pretty high scoring. So tentative fades on those guys, but you got to be realistic. I could easily, as a provider, keep giving all these stars to you as great plays. Yeah, no kidding. But we need to be real about it and sort of hone in on where we want to go with it. So for me on the Clippers side, it's a Kawhi Leonard day for me. I think that I understand that he may only get 32 to 35, may not get the big giant push in minutes that he could if he had been a little bit, had a few more games under his belt. But I just like this matchup because when he goes against Durant, it's a great matchup. They defend each other well, but no Durant. So, we're gonna get somebody on Kawhi that it's going to be a really tough matchup for them. And I think he really is the guy that's going to step up over Paul George. I know he's expensive, but he's my pay-up guy from this game. Also, don't mind a cheaper Patrick Beverley. I think he's playable. Serge Ibaka, possibly. He's sort of a flyer, more of a GPP play. but certainly somebody that I would consider. So I will have exposure in this game, maybe not tons of exposure, but I will have exposure nonetheless. All right, we get to this last game, and this is just a massive, confusing head scratcher because we know that Sacramento is decimated with guys out. We know that they have a short rotation, but they're on the second night of a back-to-back. They got absolutely crushed last night. I stacked Sacramento and had 3 guys from their roster because they only had an 8-man rotation. And, with guys like Ja, specifically, De'Aaron Fox, they were playing Memphis, but Sacramento is also shorthanded. That's what I'm trying to say. And I had De'Aaron Fox in there and some of the other guys. I held off on Bagley because we didn't know if Holmes was going to be out or not. And guess what? Holmes and Barnes are both questionable again, creating the same problem. But it's the late game. But here's the thing. When you have multiple late games at the same time, it makes it very simple to, roster somebody like a Holmes. And if he doesn't play, then you're all set and you can shift to somebody else. But, if not, it's the late game and you're sort of stuck and you're not going to get exactly who you like. But I'll tell you what, I've seen 2 reports here. One has Holmes and Barnes questionable. One has Holmes and Barnes out. So since they didn't play last night, they had the original designation. I'm going to consider them both out. I am going to, build in. So if I do roster a couple guys from Sacramento, like I plan on, possibly as many as 3, more than likely 2, then I am going to be able to shift to somebody from Milwaukee, same price range. So I'm going to have exposure to both of these teams. The Kings are 12-17. The Bucks are 17-13. Again, this is an island game for Milwaukee. It is the big spread. So could what happened last night, happen again where Sacramento just gets smashed in the fourth quarter and guys just get rotated right out. That wasn't the game that was a 30-point game. That was the Memphis game. The Sacramento game was close for a while, but then it blew out towards the end. And so, I'm concerned that could happen again at Milwaukee. Milwaukee is coming off a really good win after they had lost 4 in a row for the first time since Coach Bud had taken over that team. So very, very impressive statistic there. So I know they're going to be intense. They're going to be playing. Giannis becomes probably the highest owned guy, I would assume. If he stays on the floor long enough, this looks like one of those 80 fantasy point kind of situations for Giannis. So the fact that I'm, fading the big guys like Harden and Irving and Paul George and Embiid, et cetera, I want to give Giannis a role here. And I'm just going to count on the fact that Sacramento can keep this within 10 for the majority of the game, and these guys get the proper minutes, because Milwaukee on an island game is fresh, and that's a risk. The risk here is, does this game blow out and the studs don't get the big minutes? I'm going to take a shot on the other side of the coin and say Sacramento can keep it close enough that the main guys get play. So I'm going with Fox and Bagley on the Sacramento side, bing, bing, right away, and Giannis on the Milwaukee side. I don't want any of the Skabooge guys, DJ Augustine, DiVincenzo, Middleton, Brooke Lopez, just, all those guys, Portis, they're all up and down. Now, you can play those guys all day long on a GPP, but in a cash game, just give me Giannis and get out of the way. Just clear it out and let's let him play. So this is going to be my key game. It's, the late night game. It has the second highest total at 235.5. We know that Sacramento is dead last defensively in the league. So, interior wise, with Holmes out, Giannis should have multiple dunks. Milwaukee is 11th in defense right now. Certainly not nearly as good without Drew Holiday in there. That's the reason I like De'Aaron Fox. If Holiday would have been playing, he would have been a fade for me. But, DJ Augustine's a crafty vet, but he's older. He's certainly not the speed that Fox has. And I think that's what brings Fox back into play. And Fox didn't play well last night. He had a lot of open looks. He just could not get the ball to fall, but his usage is super high as well. I think he's a great play. And then here's the reason why this is my favorite game of the day on top of everything else. They're 11th and 7th in pace. So if you combine all of the teams that play today, as far as the best pace scenario, it's this game. They're, almost two top 10 pace teams. I think there's a lot of points to be had. Again, the key factor, and, I give this advice because that's what I'm going to play. So I believe in it. But this game could blow out, and that could cost us big time. However, if Sacramento does find a way to stay in there, this could be an absolute smash game for guys like Fox, Bagley, and Giannis. And if you want to throw a fourth in there, I would not blame you. It's sort of, you either believe in this game and dive in with 3 or 4 guys, or you fade it completely and hope it blows out and, you hold on to the lead that you had prior. But I'm going in. I'm going Kings Bucks tonight as a key game. I even like the over here at 235.5. I think that number is very reachable for anybody that wants to play it. So, all right, my friends, that is the entire slate. You've got your early showdown. You've got this awesome 7-game main slate. Check us out at DFS Coach Talk. We would love to have you. And our website's dfscoachtalk.com. Just at least come in, try us 3-day pass, $10. Can't beat it. We have the best Discord in the business. Our members are phenomenal, and we all feel a really super hot streak coming. And I think it's today. We're calling today. What are we calling it today? We're calling it the Smash, I think, and I don't know. Take down, smash that, smackdown. I don't know. Smackdown. That's it. Yeah. So we're going after it, man. We're mad today. We're fired up. We like this entire look, and we're going to get it. So join us. We'd love to have you. We appreciate you. And I'll be back again tomorrow with my man, Andrew Hansen, as we approach Monday's slate. It's a good slate tomorrow. A lot of games. Got to love it. And we'll be back here like we normally are in front of the paywall, available for you for trying to help you win at DFS. We have a PGA pod this week on Tuesday as well. And then getting ready for MLB. That is right around the corner as players and pitchers and catchers report this week. So great stuff. Thank you very much for spending the time with me. Really appreciate all of you. And we'll look to catch you again tomorrow as we crush it in DFS.